Hello, my name is Connor O'Hearn. I'm a second-year grad student studying geography and working towards a GIS certificate. My advisor is Dr. Jessica McCarty. My master's internship is with a coffee farm in Hawaii. I am helping them to plan and develop a new property for coffee production and other uses. This involved traveling out to Hawaii and conducting field research this past summer. Before the pandemic, this was a fairly straightforward project, but just like everything, COVID-19 caused me to rethink how I was going to conduct this field research. While this is an ongoing project, this presentation will review the data collection portion and how I managed to safely conduct my field research this past summer. For a bit more background on the project, here is a map that shows the Big Island and where the majority of the coffee production is based. This project was based in the Captain Cook region of the Big Island. The property is 122 acres of Hawaiian rainforest. Their goal is to plant two 25-acre plots for a total of 50 acres of coffee. It is important that this land be developed in a planned and sustainable way. This will help preserve a lot of the natural beauty and biodiversity that can be found on the property. It will also make the development much more efficient and ideally save both time and money. Surveying this property took long days in the field, collecting soil samples and other data. This was originally going to take place with the assistance of another student or some other assistant. COVID-19 caused these plans to change. Originally, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to make it to Hawaii at all. Once I arrived and isolated for a 2-week quarantine, I was then able to start. Due to the lack of resources and assistance in the field, I now was going to be alone in my data collection. This was actually very dangerous. While doing field research always has an element of risk associated with it, this was particularly dangerous as the property was very remote. It was an hour drive from the main farm, plus another hour on an ATV before hiking in through the dense forest. Sometimes it would take me 3 to 4 hours just to gather one soil sample. This meant that I was out in remote areas by myself for extended periods of time. Additionally, GPS reception was poor. This meant I had to navigate the property using a compass and my cell phone. The cell phone GPS was more accurate as the cell signal was able to help to assist in locating me. This was sporadic and used a lot of battery power though. This meant I could not always rely on my cell phone if I found myself in trouble or if I got hurt. In order to mitigate the risk of being out there on my own, I had to develop a good system for the host family back at the farm to know my location and when to notify the proper authorities if I didn't check in at a certain time or didn't come back by a certain time. I decided to employ the use of a grid reference system. These are used to allow for easy understanding of location when the area is hard to describe or all the same, like the rainforest. The idea is simple. You can either lay a grid over an area or divide the area into sections. The farm and I used an app called XHunt. This allowed for all of us to have the map with the grid on our mobile devices. I broke the property up into 27 quadrants, and before going out for the day, I would be able to tell everyone which quadrants I was going to be working in and what order I'd be moving through them. This way they knew where I was on the property. While my cell phone was on, the app would also broadcast my location. And in the event that I lost my cell phone or the battery died, they would still know my approximate location based on what grid I was working in. Because I wasn't able to use my GPS device, this also allowed me to plot my data collection points ahead of time. This way I could navigate to those points using a compass heading while leaving a trail of colored flagging tape behind me. This was not how I thought it was going to work, but it did. I managed to successfully gather 81 soil samples and safely make 14 trips out into the field. What I found and learned about the property is already coming in handy. The maps that I am currently producing will allow the farm to share information about the property that will save time and allow for efficient planning when it comes time to begin work. This will end up being a massive, multi-year, multi-million-dollar project, and it is pretty neat that I was able to gather this information and help them get started.